Hello students, welcome to the Indian Council of Medical Research online prescribing skills course 2020 for the Indian medical graduates. I am Dr. Chetna Desai, Professor and Head, Department of Pharmacology, BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad, and I am going to talk about adverse drug reactions, management and prevention. Please answer the 5 multiple choice questions provided at the end of this module and give your feedback. You will find them in the assessment section of this module. This module on adverse drug reactions, management and prevention is the second on the series of 3 modules on adverse drug reactions. The module has been prepared by the ICMR RUM Center, BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad by myself and my co-authors Dr. A.M. Gandhi and Dr. Kartikeya Parmar. The module has been reviewed by Dr. Suparna Chatterjee, IPG MER Kolkata and Dr. Niyati Trivedi from Government Medical College, Vadodara. At the end of this module 2 on adverse drug reactions, the learner shall be able to identify indicators for diagnosis of an ADR, state the factors to be considered during management of an ADR, outline strategies for management of ADRs with emphasis on prescribed medicines, assess the preventability of ADRs with special emphasis on drugs with low therapeutic index, high alert medicines, risk factors and special precautions. Remember, in module 1 we talked about the definitions of adverse drug reactions, types of ADRs, their importance, the severity, the various risk factors for occurrence of ADRs and the contributions of drug-drug and drug-food interactions to ADRs and how medication errors are an important risk factors for occurrence of an ADR. A concern that is often faced by a clinician is how do I diagnose an ADR? Please remember that after drug treatment, if a patient develops a new or exaggerated symptom, like for example sedation with the use of antihistaminics or a new clinical sign like for example orange discoloration of urine with rifampicin or an laboratory abnormality, for example statins induce increase in creatinine kinase levels, you must suspect the occurrence of an adverse drug reaction. Also, please remember that many adverse drug reactions actually mimic the symptoms and signs of the disease itself and hence are difficult to differentiate from the disease. Hence further laboratory tests and examination may be required to confirm the diagnosis of an ADR. This module also appraises about the general principles of management and prevention of adverse drug reactions. The specific management of ADRs depends on the nature of the causal medicine and the clinical presentation of the ADR. However, whenever an ADR is detected, it is important to know the type of ADR as it will affect the management of the ADR. The risk benefit assessment is of course the key determinant in the management of adverse drug reactions. Hence, when the reaction is of type A, more often than not all it requires is a reduction of the dose of the drug or the use of an antidote. On the other hand, type B reactions may require stoppage of drug or warrants its use in future. However, even type A serious reactions may sometimes require stoppage of the medicines. It is also important to know the severity of adverse drug reactions, whether they are mild, moderate or severe. Mild ADRs may not require discontinuation of drug treatment because these ADRs are self-limiting. On the other hand, moderately severe ADRs may require reduction of dose or additional supportive treatment. The severe ADRs may require discontinuation of drug and supportive treatment. Let us look at some general management strategies that are employed to manage adverse drug reactions. As mentioned earlier, ADRs may be mild and just need reassurance alone. For example, orange discoloration of the urine occurring with rifampicin. You just need to inform the patient regarding this occurrence and reassure him that it will not harm the patient. Sometimes reassurance with supportive care may be required. For example, antibiotic associated diarrhea will be managed with oral rehydration therapy, although the antibiotic per se will not be required to be stopped. In some cases, you may be required to reduce the dose of the offending medicine. For example, patients with insomnia who are experiencing marked sedation may be benefited by reducing the dose of diazepam from 10 milligrams at bedtime to 5 milligrams at bedtime in order to avoid excessive sedation. Some adverse drug reactions may require you to replace the offending medicine, as for example in case of ACE inhibitors which induce dry irritant cough which may hinder the compliance of the patient, in which case replacing the ACE inhibitor with an angiotensin receptor blocker will help the patient. In certain cases it may be required to stop the offending medicine, the classic example being the penicillin induced anaphylactic shock, which is a life threatening situation which warrants immediate discontinuation of the drug and treatment with intramuscular adrenaline and other supportive therapy. Adverse drug reactions may also require to be treated, but not with the discontinuation of offending medicine. For example, trihexyphenidyl is prescribed for antipsychotic induced extrapyramidal symptoms. So, here antipsychotics will be continued along with central anticholinergics like trihexyphenidyl. It is also very important to monitor the progress of the ADR and the underlying disease. In such cases, laboratory investigations like blood glucose level, lipid profile, bleeding time and clotting time may be required, as in the cases of drugs like statins, insulin, oral antidiabetic drugs, antiplatelet drugs and anticoagulant drugs. Education and proper counseling of the patient is vital for prevention of adverse drug reactions. Prevention of alendronate induced esophagitis, for example, is possible by proper counseling during prescribing, that is taking alendronate with at least 500 milliliters of water and maintaining an upright posture for 30 minutes after taking this drug that is known to cause esophagitis. For example, alendronate induced esophagitis can be prevented by proper counseling during prescribing, that is counseling the patient to take alendronate with at least 500 milliliters of water and maintaining an upright posture for 30 minutes after taking this drug, which is known to cause esophagitis. We all know that prevention is always better than cure, and the same stands true for adverse drug reactions as well. But prevention of ADRs is not always feasible because prescription of medicines is more often than not required for management of the illness. Hence, a thorough knowledge of the prescribed drug, understanding of the illness, assessing the risk factors and monitoring can help prevent adverse drug reactions. In the previous module also, we talked about the risk factors being modifiable and non-modifiable. Hence, a thorough knowledge of the prescribed drug, understanding of the illness, assessing the risk factors and monitoring of therapy can prevent adverse drug reactions. A prescriber must be particularly aware of the risk factors, both modifiable and non-modifiable, that are associated with the occurrence of an adverse drug reactions, and these have been discussed in detail in the module 1. Following measures are vital to prevent an ADR. 1 is the accurate medication history, both current as well as past, accurate diagnosis of the disease, assessing the risk factors before prescribing the medicine, rational prescribing of medicines, giving appropriate instructions to the patient, minimizing medication errors at each level, monitoring the treatment, avoiding polypharmacy and educating and counseling the patients. It is important to make an accurate diagnosis of the illness and treat the cause. Let us illustrate this with an example. A patient came to the outpatient department with complaints of rhinitis. He was prescribed oxymetazoline. He reported after 3 days with no improvement in the condition. He did not, however, reveal that he had been self-medicating with oxymetazoline for 3 weeks. This is a case of a misdiagnosis of rhinitis medicamentosa, which happened because a careful treatment history of the patient was not taken. We know that prolonged use of oxymetazoline or nefazoline for allergic rhinitis causes rhinitis medicamentosa, and use of antihistaminic drugs or intranasal corticosteroids are actually preferred for long term management of allergic rhinitis. Hence, the rhinitis medicamentosa in this patient could have been avoided or prevented by an accurate history of the patient. The management of the same ADR may differ in varying situations, as is illustrated in this case. This is a case of a 56-year-old male with coronary artery disease, hypertension, dyslipidemia, who reports to the OPD for routine follow-up. His medications include aspirin 75 milligrams, losartan 50 milligrams and atorvastatin 40 milligrams. On physical examination, vitals and physical examinations are within normal limits. Basal renal function tests and liver function tests are normal. On repeated investigations, liver function tests show two-fold increase in SGPT and SGOT. So, what should be the further line of management of this case? As is evidenced in the case, the diagnosis is atorvastatin induced elevated serum aminotransferase levels up to 2 times. The suspected drug here is atorvastatin, which actually should be continued in this case, as the criteria to discontinue statins in this case would be greater than 3 times elevation from baseline in aminotransferase levels. Myopathy as evident with increase in creatinine phosphokinase levels or rhabdomyolysis. The suspected drug atorvastatin in the dose of 40 milligrams should be continued in this case, as the criteria to discontinue statins would be greater than 3 times elevation from baseline in aminotransferase levels and myopathy as evident with an increase in creatinine phosphokinase levels or the evidence of rhabdomyolysis. So, in this case, this ADR can be prevented by regular liver function tests and assessment of CPK levels, and co-administration of hepatotoxic drug and drug causing myopathy should be avoided. So, this ADR can be prevented by regular liver function tests and assessment of creatinine phosphokinase levels, as well as avoiding co-administration of hepatotoxic drug with drugs causing myopathy. So, this is a case of atorvastatin induced elevated serum aminotransferase levels up to 2 times. Now, in this case, the suspected drug atorvastatin 40 milligrams is continued, since the criteria to discontinue statins would be greater than 3 times elevation from baseline in aminotransferase levels and myopathy as evident with increase in CPK levels or the presence of rhabdomyolysis. This or similar ADRs can be prevented by regular liver function tests and estimation of CPK levels and avoiding co-administration of hepatotoxic drugs with drugs causing myopathy. Let us look at another case. This is a case of a 53-year-old female patient suffering from type 2 diabetes mellitus who could not be awakened in the morning. She had been injected with insulin in the previous night by her son. Doctor had given the chart of amount of insulin to be injected based on the random blood sugar level. Her son gave the same amount of insulin she had used the day before. Her random blood sugar level was found to be 40 mg/%, which is much below the normal. She was admitted to the hospital and treated with intravenous glucose, that is 25% dextrose. A detailed history revealed that the patient had been fasting since 2 days for religious reasons. So, how could this ADR have been prevented? Educating patients about warning signs of hypoglycemia such as tremors, lightheadedness, headache, hunger, perspiration, lack of concentration is vital when they are treated with anti-diabetic drugs or insulin. Also, counseling the patient not to skip or delay meals or snacks and adjusting the medication or to eat additional snacks if there is an increase in physical activity. Patients should also be taught to check random blood sugar by glucometer at home. Also, he or she should be advised to have biscuits, chocolates or simple carbohydrate containing diet if hypoglycemia is suspected. So, this was an example of a preventable adverse drug reaction. Cutaneous adverse drug reactions are common manifestations of adverse drug reactions. Rash and itching are the commonest cutaneous adverse drug reactions that are typically allergic in nature, that is type B or the bizarre reactions. These are usually self-limiting, and although some may be serious and may require treatment, they usually disappear with symptomatic treatment and withdrawal of the offending medicine. A careful history of similar previous episodes can also help prevent this ADR. Let us understand cutaneous adverse drug reactions with a few case studies. This is a case of a 33-year-old male who presented to the dermatology OPD with a history of rash since 1 day. The rashes were associated with burning and itching. Patient was recently prescribed tablet carbamazepine 200 milligrams once a day for trigeminal neuralgia that he was suffering from. No history of fever or use of other medications was evident. On examination, well-defined erythematous plaques of various sizes were present over the chest, back, lower limbs and lips. The genitalia were not involved. How will you manage this patient further? Now, this is a case of a fixed drug eruption caused by carbamazepine. A fixed drug eruption is an allergic reaction to a medicine that characteristically recurs in the same site or sites each time a particular medicine is taken. This particular ADR warrants withdrawal of the offending medicine. Topical corticosteroids applied 2 times per day for 7 to 10 days and tablet chlorpheniramine 4 milligrams orally 2 to 3 times a day should be used. But it is also important to educate the patient about not repeating carbamazepine in future. Giving written instructions to the patient will help in these cases. Eliciting prior history of allergic reactions to medicines such as sulfa drugs, penicillins, antiepileptics and counseling for warning symptoms can help prevent or mitigate these or similar reactions through early interventions. Stevens-Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis are severe mucocutaneous reactions that are commonly triggered by medicines and which are characterized by extensive necrosis and detachment of the epidermis. These are considered to be serious and severe cutaneous adverse drug reactions. The cases with less than 10% epidermal involvement are classified as Stevens-Johnson syndrome, whereas those with 30% or more involvement are classified as toxic epidermal necrolysis. 10 demonstrates widespread erythema and confluent vesiculation leading to sloughing of the skin. Affected patients are at risk for hypernatremic dehydration and sepsis. As mentioned earlier, these are serious and severe adverse drug reactions which warrant immediate referral and admission to a hospital owing to extensive systemic involvement with high morbidity and mortality. The therapeutic window of certain drugs reflects the concentration range that provides efficacy without unacceptable toxicity. Narrow therapeutic index drugs have a narrow therapeutic window, hence their doses must be titrated carefully and a close monitoring is usually required when they are prescribed. A few examples of these narrow therapeutic index drugs are aminoglycosides, cyclosporine, carbamazepine, digoxin, digitoxin, flecainide, lithium, phenytoin, phenobarbital, rifampicin, theophylline and warfarin. These are high alert medicines. So, here are a few do's and don'ts about ADR management and prevention. Be vigilant of high alert medicines and high risk medications. Adjust dosing based on age and creatinine clearance wherever applicable. Use therapeutic drug monitoring whenever applicable. Use Tallman lettering, that is the practice of writing part of the drug's name in uppercase letters to help distinguish sound alike, look alike drugs from one another in order to avoid medication errors. Double check before administering any drug. What you must avoid is avoid polypharmacy. Try to avoid drug-drug and drug-food interactions. It is not necessary to treat all the adverse drug reactions as some of them tend to be self-limiting. Also, avoid complex regimens which may lead to non-compliance and therapeutic failure. A few take-home messages from this module. Adverse drug reactions may mimic the symptoms and signs of the disease itself. Know the pharmacology of the medicines that you prescribe and about the common and dangerous adverse drug reactions that they cause. Always assess the risk benefit of the medicine prior to prescribing. Clinical management of an adverse drug reaction includes making appropriate choice regarding modifying the prescribed regimen, supportive care, stopping the drug and or the specific treatment if needed. These are a few references that you could use for further in-depth study on this topic. We would like to acknowledge the valuable inputs we received from the RUMC committee at BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad, as well as the assistance provided by Dr. Jigar Panchal and Dr. Ashish Patel from Department of Pharmacology, BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you are now ready for attempting the MCQs. Please access the MCQs which you will find in the assignment section and submit the answers. Please also submit the prescription evaluation as per the tutorial, which I hope you have already seen. Thank you and happy learning.